Ladies and gentlemen, this is huge news in the Washington Examiner. Durham to produce large volume of classified discovery in Steele Dossier source case. It's a fantastic article by Daniel Chaitin, really amazing reporter. Wonderful publication at the Washington Examiner. The Justice Department plans to produce a large volume of classified materials this week in the Durham probe against the case against the main source for British ex-spy Christopher Steele's anti-Trump dossier. Special counsel John Durham made the assertion in a filing Tuesday, asking a judge for a timeline extension for the production of classified discovery in accordance with the Classified Information Procedures Act, a law that establishes procedures for protecting classified information in criminal cases. This is very interesting. Durham pinned the need for a delay on agency personnel being involved in matters related to what's taking place, the worst geopolitical crisis in recent European history taking place under the presidency of mashed potato brains. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. There's a lot of classified data, and it pertains even to people still working at the Bureau and other intel agencies. This is very interesting, because this tells you a couple things. One, there are people still in government that at least had something to do with the Steele dossier. Two, it tells you that we don't really know everything there is to know about the Steele dossier. There's a great deal of classified data, large volume of classified discovery. So when James Comey says, well, he didn't know that it was obtained by the Clinton campaign, that her campaign, the DNC, hired Fusion GPS and Glenn Simpson and Christopher Steele through an attorney working for the same law firm that Sussman worked at, the third indictment in the Durham probe special counsel. So you have all of these working parts and all of these conduits and middlemen and all of these people working for the same goal, which is to undermine an incoming president, to undermine an incoming presidency with a fake and phony narrative. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel. That's below in the pinned comment. I'll eventually do more segments on that channel. My Patreon is below if you want to support my work via Patreon. Your support is greatly appreciated, especially in this really uncertain time. Your support is greatly appreciated if you enjoy my work. Ladies and gentlemen, also read my article in the Federalist below in the pinned comment on the impending stock market crash we're slowly seeing an economic decline, and maybe not so slowly, but we're seeing an economic decline. It's in front of us. Inflation's through the roof, gas prices, anemic economic growth to zero economic growth. And I predict all of this in my Federalist article below in the pinned comment. But we aren't, unfortunately, going to have a devastating stock market crash. Everything from Bitcoin to equities is just going to collapse, unfortunately. Now, to date, the government has produced 60,000 documents in unclassified discovery. A portion of these documents were originally marked classified, and the government has worked with the appropriate declassification authorities to produce the documents in an unclassified format, Durham said in the filing submitted to federal court. However, recent events in Europe have contributed to delays in the production of classified discovery. The officials preparing and reviewing the documents at the FBI and intelligence agencies are heavily engaged in matters related. Okay, well, there are either people in those agencies that are working to face the issue in Europe, or they're just trying to stonewall and prevent classified data, saying, well, there's this horrible tragedy taking place. Oh, that's right, under Biden's administration, during Biden's administration. So we can't give you everything you need. He'll get everything he needs anyway. because the Steele dossier has literally nothing to do. Well, I shouldn't say that. The Steele dossier, let's put it this way. If there are any links between the Steele dossier and what's taking place in Europe, that's even worse for all the parties involved. So, regardless of what, whether he gets all the classified documents sooner or later, eventually, it's not going to be very difficult for the Durham probe to indict a lot of people. This is not there's nothing difficult about this. Okay? What Durham did in Boston with the bureau agent, top FBI agent in Boston years back, working basically alongside his informants, basically joining a criminal organization, that was more difficult. That was a lot more difficult than what we have here. Here we have just basic, overt political campaigns, espionage, setting up and framing your direct political rival with a dossier with Alpha Bank, a narrative that you purchased from tech executives and a bunch of tech people. This is not difficult. Then you have Comey's memos that started the Mueller probe. The Mueller probe special counsel was started from memos, people. Ladies and gentlemen, the Durham probe special counsel was started from memos. Okay? Can you believe that? Memos. So Comey had his recollections pertaining to a meeting with Trump. Then you have this nonsense about loyalty oaths. You couldn't find greater allegiance than within the Democratic Party. Okay? They're so loyal that they do everything to help President Obama, help President Clinton, help the Democratic Party without being told to. Clapper, Brennan, Strzok, McCabe, Comey, all of them. Isn't that amazing? They weren't told to go after Trump, but they just did so. Eventually, though, Clapper did blame President Obama. So Clapper did blame President Obama when push came to shove. So he basically he basically blamed President Obama to an extent. So to an extent. So here you so he said something to the effect, the commander-in-chief president told us to do, which was to assemble all the reporting we could that we had available to us and put it in one report, and that the president could pass on to Congress in the next administration. So he blamed in a bureaucratic sense, he blamed writing the report and other issues on President Obama, which, by the way, look, all of this is a pretty overt setup. It's not that difficult. Democrats want to hide, media wants to hide within plausible deniability forever. They don't allow Trump to hide within any type of plausible deniability. That's why they accuse him. They make baseless allegations. They have 5 different investigations: tax return, Mueller probe, January panel, Southern District of New York, elevating the valuation of his real estate holdings. Nothing sticks because they go overboard. They try desperately to pin him on something they can't. So here, the case revolves around, so this is getting back to the Durham probe document release. The case revolves around Igor Danchenko. Steele was working for an oligarch, so linked to Vladimir. So this is interesting. Democrats hired a man, Christopher Steele, who was working with a Russian oligarch. And that's totally fine. That's not a link to the Kremlin, but of course Trump is linked to the Kremlin because of the dossier that they purchased from a man who's linked directly to Vladimir. Okay. And I say Vladimir just to be YouTube friendly. Who knows what the guidelines are, but I'm trying to abide by them like we all are. The former MI6 agent, it's like they keep saying former MI6. Who cares if you're a former MI6 or Central Intelligence agent? If you're going and getting paid by Trump's direct political rival, you're doing so to undermine and frame him. It's not difficult to understand, my God. But they love this intrigue. Everything was like this drugstore spy novel. They just loved it. Danchenko allegedly relied on a network of Russian contacts, undermined key Trump claims when interviewed by the FBI, and had briefly been investigated as a possible threat to national security due to potential intelligence contacts. So they almost certainly, what they wanted to do was fracture us as a country by inserting a whole bunch of nonsense, by helping fabricate a whole bunch of nonsense. Democrats, here's the issue that's taking place. Tens of millions of Americans truly believe that Trump was installed by another country, while at the same time they're indignant that Trump doesn't trust certain things. Okay, when half the electorate believes that another country installed a Republican candidate, let's say, that fractures the country. You have engaged in, this is 18 U.S. Code 371. This is a gigantic, you've defrauded, you've deceived the country. And you have taken us on a wild ride. A wild ride. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Very likely thousands and thousands of classified documents are going to be released very soon by the Durham probe when they get the green light to get as much classified data as possible. And if they need more classified data, they'll request more. Give me your thoughts. Hit subscribe.